Hello, welcome to sunny California. Today I'm going to show you how to blend a beautiful blue sky with oil paints. Today in San Diego we have a clear sky and I want to capture that in my mural. Do you see how towards the horizon line it is lighter in color, and then very gradually as you go up into the atmosphere it turns into a darker blue. You can see it actually gets pretty dark. We want to capture this same phenomena in our painting. I've already laid down the light blue and the next gradient up. I need to mix the rest of the colors and then do the blending. So the first step is to mix our paint. Because I'm working with a 12 by 6 foot mural, I have to use almost an entire tube of white oil paint. But that's just the name of the game with painting. You can't make a painting without a ton of paint. To mix the lightest blue color that will be directly on above your horizon line, you use a majority of white, you massage it, and you add a small amount of, just a little bit of French ultramarine and cerulean blue. Now see, this is too much. It will overpower it. So I'm going to wipe off that. So I just have a little bit on my brush and put it in there and blend it in. Now you see this creates a very soft pastel blue. We even then can take the smallest amount of orange and put that in there so that it's more neutralized. Now it's this really soft pale blue that you're going to want to put right here along the horizon line. You see how much different it is from the top color. For our next darkest color, we're going to add much more French ultramarine and cerulean to make the color darker. You just keep mixing it until it's fully incorporated. To mix the darkest color for the top of the sky, I take a lot of French ultramarine blue and mix it in to make it darker. French ultramarine blue is good for the top of the sky. It just matches closer than the other blues. For the middle of the sky, if you use cerulean blue, it has more of a green, a turquoise hue to it. It's got a little bit of green in there, whereas the French ultramarine blue has more of a red-purple tint. So if you use both, it actually makes a very beautiful sky. So that's probably the darkest I want to go for the dark. And then the medium tone, I would just have more white and more cerulean blue in there. A lighter, more turquoise looking sky. There we go, very subtle in difference. You want to also put the very smallest amount of orange into your blue piles, because the blue that comes out of the tube is so vibrant that it's not usually representational of the environment. So if you add the complementary color to blue, which is red and yellow combined, orange, it neutralizes the color slightly, makes it not too bright, more natural, neutral. And I'll do the same with this pile. This blue is a little unnaturally bright, so we add a bit of orange to neutralize it. Now it's ready to add to our canvas. I'm going to add paint in striped layers, progressively getting darker. So here I've laid my lighter colors. Next, I'm laying my medium colors. And at the very top of the painting, I'll have the darkest blues. I'm going to scoop up some of this paint and just lay it on the canvas. Just lay it on. You could do this with your brush. I'm just using a palette knife because I have so much paint that I'm handling. Work around the objects that you have put in your sky, whether it's clouds, birds. Now that I have laid down the paint onto the canvas, I'm now going to blend them together. So what I do is I hold my brush right in between where the transition between color happens, and just go back and forth until it blurs and mixes the paint together and forms one line, or it forms a gradient from the lightest to the other color that you're mixing it with. And when I'm working next to other objects, I usually reserve this section for a smaller brush where I can do detail and define the edges. So this is my blending brush. I'm not going to get too close to that right now. I'm going to do that with a different brush. So now I'll just keep blending until I really smooth out all the lines, basically. And I slowly move upwards. So now that I've blended this whole section, I can take my brush and move it into the next section. And by moving upwards, you slowly transition the colors on your brush as well, so there's no cross-contamination with other colors. So I'm avoiding the objects, I'm just painting above them, and I'm smoothing the paint. Working upwards, avoiding this object, being very cautious and slow around it. I don't want to have to repaint that. Smoothing it out, moving up. And then you can work down slowly. You can just go back down into this area just to give it a better gradation. So it was like light blue transitioning instantly into medium blue. And I want it to be subtle where you can barely perceive where the sky changes color. Just moving my brush up and down very slowly, but at the same time doing it over and over again. And that's what's going to give the very smooth transition. Let's see. See, that's still a bit harsh. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to go over it until it's smooth. I'm going to do this for the entire painting. This process takes a while depending on how large of a sky you're painting. This one is probably going to take me an hour. So I'm just going to go like this. So you do very long strokes back and forth like this. And you kind of move a little bit up to pick up the darker tone, and you move a little bit down to pick up the lighter tone, and you kind of incorporate them. You can also do short zigzag like this so that they blend together, and then go back and do as long as a stroke as you can do. If you can go all the way to the end of the canvas, that's the best. That's going to make the most fluid transition in color. Just kind of move up, move back down. Now I want to blend this area. I'm going to move this stuff up. Just like that. Now for this part, I'll move my brush down And then I can blend this lighter color that's drastically different into the blue. And it's the same thing, just back and forth, short brush strokes. And when I'm working around the objects, I very cautiously brush over them like this. The outline of your landscape is important. The outline of any objects that you have in the sky are important as well. So you need to take your time and really make sure that they're as crisp and as angular and as large or small as you intend them to be. And then once I've got all the edges, then I can blend this little area just like that. This part's too small for this brush, so I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. And I'll go back and forth right in between the two colors. Just like that. Now it's almost finished. Now that smooth gradation is just like our own sky. I feel like I kind of want to even work this light area up a little bit higher. So I'll start down here and work slowly up into this blue. There you go. Now when you're trying to paint your final layer of sky around your objects, you just have to use a small enough brush, and you have to change the direction of how you hold the brush so that you can get nice even straight lines. Oh, see, I went a little too far. I'll show you how to fix that. I'm just going to keep going methodically around very slowly so as not to paint over my previous work. Which isn't actually very easy to do when you're holding a camera at the same time. There we go. And I'm pushing the paint away from the object so that it's just a smooth, even layer of oil paint. There we go. And now I'm gonna push the paint away. There's a little bit too much paint on the canvas. You can see the texture. That's okay. Maybe I'll move it to a different spot, but I don't want it all around my helicopter. I want it to be a smooth, even layer, so I just wipe away the extra paint. You can put it on your palette if you have too much paint on your canvas. Just moving it away. There we go. Now it's floating in our blue sky. Now if you've gotten overzealous in blending the sky and you accidentally got some paint on top of your landscape, you can take that away by getting a small clean brush and a jar with turpentine in it. That's paint thinner. So get a little bit of the turpentine on your brush, wipe it off so it doesn't drip, and then just take it and put it over the part that you don't want the oil paint on, like this. And then you wipe off the paint on your brush, do it again, grab some more turp, and just erase the paint. Now there's going to be a little bit of residue from the Turpentine. You just have to dry off your brush, come back and pick up some more, or you can use the towel, put your finger in it, and then just wipe away the extra paint as well. I also did this here on my helicopter. I nicked it a little bit to get that very slowly. Well, there you go. Wiped it away. Now we're good. And there you have it. A beautifully blended sky. That looks just like our own San Diego sky.